Just got that one from the county, but I like it. No, this is the. Hey, Latricia, congrats on your son.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
nothing
you.
new though.
And stylish shoes and make the first team all region. Okay, we ready? Game. Things coming.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock, so the work session for mayor and council for February 6th is called to order. And we will begin with our mission statement, which is as follows. It is the mission of the City of Forest Park to enhance, strengthen, and grow our city by collaborating with our community to provide the highest level of service, striving to be recognized as a diverse community that values and respects all members. We will strive to provide fair, professional, and courteous service through transparency and open communication. As we work to achieve this mission, we will have integrity beyond reproach while employing fiscal discipline and innovation. In this work, there are no praises and raises for mediocrity. Ms. White, can we have a roll call, please?
Good evening. Roll call
evening.
for February 6th work session. Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez,
President, where's Councilwoman James at?
Councilmember April Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Councilmember James is via Zoom and telephone.
Oh, thank you. Diane.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Dr. Cooper, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Manager Report, February 6, 2023. We have our chili and cornbread sale being held on Friday, February 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Forest Park Senior Center, 5087 Park Avenue. Chili bowls, I think, are $5 and the cakes are $3. So come out and enjoy. The State of the City address will be held on Thursday, March 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Worship Center of Atlanta, located at 1106 Main Street, Forest Park, Georgia. So everyone is welcome. March 23rd, 2023. The Forest Park Business Association quarterly luncheon will be held Thursday, February 16th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This luncheon will be held at the Forest Park Community Center, 696 Main Street. And if you would like to attend, to make sure they have enough food, please RSVP at, you see the website right there instead of me spelling it out, but it's EconoDev, which is a abbreviation for Economic Development at forestparkga.gov. A partial road closure is scheduled to take place for Park Avenue between Forest Parkway and Georgia Avenue from February 13th to the 28th. This is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., weather permitting. The temporary road closure includes both the north and southbound lanes on Park Avenue. The city is having work done on the indoor pool and will be moving heavy equipment near the east side of the Recreation Center building where Forest Parkway and Park Avenue intersects. So we will have detour signs up and installed all around the immediate area. There is a map online where you can actually go on to see the detour. However, there will be signs up for everyone. The City of Forest Park, along with several elected officials and the community leaders from Clayton County, recently welcomed Mayor Bing from Yini Segal, located off the west coast of Africa. Yenin has been designated as a Forest Park sister city since 2021. The special relationship between the two cities has helped stimulate an environment for both communities to learn and share experiences that further advances our understanding of the world while also exploring other diverse cultures. This is a picture of Mayor being with many of those that attended the dinner that evening, and give a special shout out to our council aides, Tanisha Dixon and Miss Marsha Johnson. They did an awesome job putting that together with the help of our PIO, Mr. Javon Lloyd. So thank you for everything. The City of Forest Park, in partnership with publicsurplus.com, will be having a surplus auction search for February 8th, 2023 at 8 p.m., starting at 8 p.m. and ending February 15th at 8 p.m. You must go onto publicsurplus.com and register to bid, and you search for the City of Forest Park, Georgia as the seller, and items approved for surplus will appear when they're released for sale. And these are surplus items that were approved by council. Next in our employee spotlight, I would like to congratulate Ms. Vanessa Douglas on her retirement from the City of Forest Park. She was an administrative assistant for Recreation and Leisure Services Department. She served the department in the community at a high standard for 40+ years. And while Ms. Douglas was an extremely quiet and private person who stated she did not want anything special, her department did surprise her with a plaque. Ms. Douglas kind of just wanted to walk away and didn't want to do anything really big, but they did surprise her with that plaque. Next, I have congratulations to Director Tariq Maxwell and the Recreation and Leisure Services team for being recognized by the Clayton County Board of Education at its board meeting tonight. So we couldn't be there, we had to be here. The department is being honored for its outstanding partnership with the schools in the City of Forest Park. And our council aide, Tanisha Dixon, is being honored with an award of recognition from Clayton County Board of Education, again at tonight's meeting. And lastly, I would just like to wish tomorrow a happy birthday to our own Mayor Angeline Butler tomorrow, who turns 22.
Yes,
23?
yes.
Okay.
At least.
So happy birthday, Mayor Butler. And that's my report, Council.
Thank you. Our COVID update, Mr. Jomini.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you guys?
Good evening.
I missed you guys last month. Didn't know what to do with myself on the first Monday of the month in January. I was lost. So case breakdown, the numbers really haven't changed very much. We're still showing about 58% of cases being in female and 42% in male. We're continuing to make up 8.6% of county cases, continuing to show on average between 4 and 8 cases a week, and that is an average. The 30 to 39 age group still shows the highest percentage of positive cases. We've still plateaued with the vaccines from the December report at 56% of county residents having received at least one dose of the vaccine, with 50% being fully vaccinated. 22% of vaccinated citizens have also received an additional booster dose. The 35 to 64 age group still shows the highest in vaccination rate. The CDC is still encouraging and recommending vaccination and boosters for COVID-19, with a second booster dose being recommended for people greater than 50, and especially with those with underlying medical conditions. To obtain information on how you can get a vaccine or vaccine information, you can visit our website at forestparkga.gov/fire and find it under the COVID-19 tab. As far as monkeypox, we showed a slight increase last month. Total cases found in Georgia since the beginning is 1,988 cases, which is up 23 from the December report. So it has slowed down significantly. The age group is showing 26 to 44, showing the largest numbers, with men being the primarily affected sex. Anyone can contract the disease, and it's important that everybody take precautions, especially during activities of prolonged personal contact and especially during intimacy, to ensure safety. The CDC is continuing to research the disease and its spread and is still working on the best course of action in vaccines and boosters to eliminate the outbreak. The CDC is recommending vaccines if interested and or if high risk or with underlying medical conditions. The disease continues to show that it is rarely fatal and has only been listed in 28 deaths nationwide so far, all of which had other underlying health problems associated with the diagnosis. For further information on the outbreak of monkeypox and vaccines, you can visit cdc.gov/poxvirus/monkeypox or dph.georgia.gov/monkeypox.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And before we get into new business, we have some very special people to recognize today.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Ms. White, for reminding me, though I have it in bright red on my report. We have our new employees. Our First, I would like to call up Deputy Chief Johnson from the Forest Park Police Department.
Good evening, Madam Mayor,
Good
City
evening.
Manager, and Council. I bring to you all our new employees with the Forest Park Police Department. As of right now, we have 8 new employees. And also you can see the other employees from the police department that came to support everything that we are doing at the Forest Park Police Department. We are going to start off with recruits that are non-certified, meaning they are going to have to start from the very beginning, and which they have to go to the academy. So the first person we have is Sharon Stitchcomb. We have Herman Troop. We have Nelson Keith. We have Valandi Josias. Valandi is trilingual. So we're really happy to have him on board. Michael Braswell. Joseph Chandler. The 7th person we have is Adonis Hayes, which is communications. And last but not least, we have Captain Keith McGee. Captain McGee has come to us from Fairburn Police Department. Of course, he is certified. He started his career in 1994. He's an adjunct professor. He's head of training, specialized training, and we are very happy to have him with the Forest Park Police Department. And I have to say to you all before the end, Public Works have challenged the police department to a basketball game. And as you can see, we have the height. So again, thank you for allowing us to be here and introducing our new employees.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, welcome.
Now, Madam Mayor, that is the end of my
No,
report.
that's the end of the report. Well, welcome, everyone. Just know that the oath that you swore to serve and protect the community is exactly what we expect. And I thank you all for choosing Forest Park. New business, council discussion and approval of the Health Accident Fund, background and history. The Health Accident Fund is a benefit that is used as a supplement of income for employees on FMLA who has exhausted their sick leave, vacation leave, and leave donations. An employee is only eligible for this benefit if they have met the guidelines for FMLA. The current amount of the fund is $150 weekly for 6 weeks only. Human Resources, Ms. Brown, do you mind standing? Is there anything further you can contribute to this background and history?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Basically, this fund has been in effect for years, and I want to bring it back before the mayor and council to get it approved through this administration and to possibly look at increasing the amount from 150 to a higher amount. Again, it has been 150 for at least 10 years per my deputy director. That's what she was saying. But 150, I feel, is not enough for an employee that has exhausted all of their leave. And that would be an extreme help to the employees. So I just really want you guys to approve it to offer this benefit to employees who are on FMLA and have exhausted all of their leave options.
Thank you. Councilwoman James, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do think that 150 for someone who is out sick and unable to work. I was looking through the health fund documentation, and it says that the amount of the payments would not exceed 66 2/3% of their basic weekly earnings. But in my estimation, if we're paying the least of our employees $17 an hour, then the 150 is nowhere near ample. So I would say at least 350 to 400 would be a good price for a person that's been employed with our city and is in health challenges.
Thank you. Councilman Antoine?
I seen that too, but we're talking about the expert here and she knows exactly what needs to be done. So I'm in support of this. It's a no-brainer.
Councilman Gutierrez?
I'm in support of this as well. Director Brown, I just wanted to hear, does that sound about right? The 350 between 400? Do you think that's a okay amount? Well, did you have another amount in mind?
I think that's a fair amount. Again, we barely use this fund. A lot of employees have sick time and whatever, but it's only rare occasions that they use it. And once they're off FMLA, they can't use it either. So within that time frame, it's just a little help to make sure that if they have like medical insurance or whatever deductions coming out, they're not taking it out of their own pocket. That will help take care of that for them.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Wells?
I honestly agree. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Councilman Mears?
Yes, ma'am. Does it have any way, the fund have any way to build itself? Do we have the money aside for it to increase, or how does the?
So right now they
road,
have
do
it
we have a
coming out of
pot?
the salary line item for an employee. But my suggestion and recommendation would be that you set aside a line item, especially for the health accident fund,
Mhm.
and you can monitor it each year and decide whether or not you need to increase the budget or decrease the budget based on the usage. But again, it's rarely used. It's only rare occasion that it's used.
But
if you
you know, it'd be nice if we had some for it to compound, so it would zone up with everything, but I'm for it. Thank you.
So the 66%, that's based on each individual's income. So that fee of 300 or plus, it'll vary depending on what their actual salary is.
But whatever set amount that you set, that will be for any employee.
So it's a specific dollar amount, regardless of how much they make.
That's correct.
Well, can't we let it be based on their actual income?
It could be based on whatever the council wants. It's just more so of getting the policy actually approved so we can get it into the policy book the way that we would like to do it. So the 350 to 400, that's only 60, that's 66%. So that means that would be an employee probably making close to, yeah.
I just did the math and every 448 would be 66% of $17 an hour.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Item 2, council discussion to approve conditional use permit for 721 Morrow Road. Background and history. The applicant, Mateo McKenzie Houghton, is requesting a conditional use permit to add and operate an early child care education center use to a present church used at 721 Morrow Road. This property is in the single family residential district. Places of worship, a K through 12 private school, a pre-K and daycare center require conditional use permits to operate in a single family residential district. Currently, the property houses a church south of the minor arterial street, Morrow Road. The street frontage for the parcel is Morrow Road. West of the parcel is a mixture of residential homes and a church. South of the parcel are residential homes. East of the parcel are residential homes and an office building. And north of the parcel are residential homes and a gas station. Staff recommended approval of conditional use permit to allow the early child care learning center in the single family residential district with the following conditions. The applicant must adhere to state guidelines outlined in section 8-8-78 and provide proof and or a copy of state certification to operate a school. The applicant and or his tenants may be allowed to operate a church, a school, and offices associated with those uses. However, no other offices or commercial uses will be permitted. Storage of vehicles, trucks, and trailers is strictly prohibited. Violation of these conditions will result in the loss of the conditional use permit and associated business licenses. The Planning Commission voted to approve the conditional use permit with conditions. The applicant provided a copy of the application submitted to the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. Staff also contacted the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning, and per the department, the applicant's application is in pending status until it receives notification of the City of Forest Park's decision of the zoning conditional use permit approval, and also other city approvals that would be required, i.e. building and fire inspections. See the attached documents in our packets. Ms. Gardner, well, any questions or comments, Councilwoman James?
No, I agree with staff recommendations.
Thank you. Councilman Antoine,
Likewise.
Councilman Gutierrez,
Same.
Councilwoman Wells, and Councilman Mears.
I've got one or two.
Yes,
Is the church not occupied now? Is it the whole church? Cause it's right at the edge of my ward and, you know, we had some grief last time because we have the soccer fields behind the church and then you have the housing projects behind them. Is anybody checked in to see how they feel or how they, anyway, I mean, it's a good thing, but you know, we don't want to have a lot of headaches from it. From the people that live in the housing.
Mayor and council, regarding this item, upon advisement from our city attorney, this was not, the public hearing portion was not actually done. So we would ask that this be tabled until the March 6th meeting. But to answer your question, Mr. Mears, when we send out the public hearing information for the planning commission, we do send out notices to adjacent property owners that would be impacted, and we did not receive any notifications or inquiries from those.
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Item 3, council discussion on waste management contract. Background and history. Waste management's final contract has been received. Attached and below, you will find a few of the highlights that have been changed. The rate increase requested for residential would be $321.67 annually. The rate increase requested for commercial would be an average of 20%. The city recycling drop-off center will not be providing either waste management or the City of Forest Park employees to be present on site. Waste Management acknowledges the city's desire to discontinue usage of the city recycling drop-off center located next to the Forest Park Transfer Station. Section 6.0, liquidated damages, 6.1 to 6.9, is where you will find performance penalties. The penalties range from failure to clean up solid waste spills, failure to collect material from service unit, chronic problems, remove and clean up hydraulic oil, etc. Replace any damaged containers and failure to repair damage to property. These penalties range from $150 to $300, depending on the severity of the violation. Public work. Oh, hello. Is there anything you want to add before I call for questions?
Y'all probably ask all the questions I want to tell you.
And I want to, can I just say, I just want to say one thing to kind of clarify. That he says acknowledges the city desire to discontinue the usage.
Thank you.
It was the city's desire not to, because we're being charged now under the new contract for dumping at the recycling center. It was our desire not to staff the recycling center. Waste Management actually told us, well, if we don't staff it, then they're not going to staff it. So that would mean that the recycling center would actually close. So I just wanted to kind of make that clarification. I don't think it was really clear here.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman James.
Okay, okay, yes, that was one of my questions about the desire to close the recycling drop. So does that mean we no longer will have recycling and educating the public about recycling?
No, recycling and education is number one to get the word across, and we will be recycling at the house. And to touch base on the recycling center, right now under this new price, we're the city's coming out roughly $300,000 a year. That's not revenue coming in that Waste Management's charging just on hauling fee. And then if we man a part-time person over there, that's another $21,000 on top of that, plus liability that we're on somebody else's property working.
Okay, question about the, hold on one second. Question about the $321 annual fee for residential. How much of an increase is that from the fee that residents were paying before?
Let's say 20%, it was $260 and it's going up to $321. And that should be enough to cover the length of the contract. We shouldn't have to come back and ask for an increase.
Okay, so approximately 260 to 321. For
Yes,
residents?
they pay 260 and we're going to 321. That's a 20% increase.
Okay, all right. And that applies to your commercial businesses too. I don't see a dollar amount, but I do see that the rate increase was going to be 20%, an average of 20%.
Yes, it's an average of 20%. And then, of course, they have to make sure they regulate what size dumpsters and stuff like that. And all that comes in the educational part. And they're offering a customer service number to help take the load off the city. So that's a plus there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Antoine.
No question.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Thank you, Bobby, for that explanation. Is there anything that we can incorporate in there just addressing the smell? Like, I just drove by there the other day and it's just horrible. Like,
That's totally separate from here, but I can have our code enforcement officer for sanitation to go by there and address, and if it's not adequate, they could address it. They can address it.
okay, thank you. But I think, if we can have it in here somewhere, we can hold them accountable to, just spraying something, or I don't know, trying to contain it somehow. I mean, I don't know.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes, so same question that Councilman Gutierrez said, but everyone knows that I haven't been the biggest fan of Waste Management. So it's, not much has changed, but I don't agree with getting rid of the transfer station. Like, that's something that our residents benefit from. And what do we plan on doing with, I don't know how many employees we have over there, but what are we gonna do with them? Do we have other positions for them to fill in at? And besides the smell, like we've been talking about this for years and years and years, and I guess you stop talking about it, it doesn't matter anymore. But besides the contract and besides the smell, and what are we doing to get Waste Management out of our community? That's the conversation I would like to have. And I know that it's been years and years and years since Waste Management went up on the city. So, of course, things will change and that's okay. But I don't see us getting rid of our recycling centers. Like, everything that benefit the community, we want to move away from. So I would say reconsider that. And other than that, Mike, I would definitely like a follow-up, because I know we haven't talked about it in a minute. Like, where we stand, what conversations are being had as far as the transfer station itself. That's what we need to talk about. But to just take that away from the residents, I definitely don't agree with that.
Answer question number one, we've been unstaffed at recycling. We've been having to replace it with highly skilled and higher paid employees to work the recycling center, because we've not been unable to hire part-time people. We've interviewed people, but nobody wants to work the hours. So we're having to supplement with higher paid and trade workers over there.
Okay. And who's sitting at the table when the contracts, I know, Mike, you are, but when the contracts are being discussed, like, who's sitting at the table on behalf of the city? Someone that's not biased, that just don't want Waste Management. Who's sitting at the table? Because I'm sure there was something that could be talked about as far as coming to some type of agreement to not have the transfer station closed. Like, who's going back and forth with them?
So to answer your question, since we last discussed this over a year ago, there's really been no discussion on that. And recall at the time, the main issue was the cost associated with moving that Waste Management would expect the city to pay. And so since then, there have not been any discussions.
So
Any
we
other
just,
questions or comments?
yeah, so we just got the contract from them and that's just what it is. Nobody is sitting
So,
down.
well, as
discussing.
far as this contract, the city manager, myself, Mr. Jenks and his staff were involved in all the discussions. We had multiple discussions and meetings with Waste Management.
Okay, so is there any way for the council to be more involved in these discussions? Because I just don't see this coming to the table and that's what was agreed upon for the transfer station to be closed. I just can't even believe somebody would even support that. As much as that recycling center helps our community. So nobody just
The
thought to
main,
fight for that.
main difference is all the other contracts never had no type of performance penalties. And this one right here, we have performance penalties. So when they don't do their job, then we can come back with them with financial penalties and make them do what the contract says. The whole contract, we didn't have nothing.
I mean, I understand that and I appreciate that, but I just don't think the citizens should suffer.
And I just want to say
because of
something,
that.
Councilwoman Wells. It's not that we decided to just close the recycle. The residents still have curbside recycling. That is still a thing that's going on with the contract and everything else. The recycling center itself was basically used as a dumping spot for things coming in. The city at that previous contract was not charged. That was all factored into the price that the city was paying. Waste Management has chosen to say, now we're going to start charging the city for what we take away from the recycling center, because recycling, again, to really no one is profitable anymore. So with that added expense to the recycling center, we said, well, we're paying for, a person to man this just for you guys to come in and get more money from the city. And we're asking, what benefit is it? We actually kept a log, and we actually keep logs, and I can forward those logs to you, of who comes to the recycling center. You have certain people that come to the recycling center 5 and 6 times, and it's not a resident bringing in their recycling. It's someone coming in and they're dumping. So now Waste Management is trying to charge our residents for that. So we're looking at an additional $321,000 a year. So the rate would have to go up even higher than the 321 to actually support that. So it wasn't that we decided that we would close it. We told them that we would not staff it, especially if they're going to try to charge the city to dump now, when it was all at one time factored into the same price that the city was paying. And Waste Management chose to say, well, we're not going to staff it. If you guys don't staff it and we're not going to staff it, then it would close. So, but residents do still have curbside recycling with their bins. They can put their recycling in, their recycling will be picked up. It's just that they can't come in with truckloads multiple times with things that they're dumping. And a lot of it is not being recycled. I can tell you probably 95% of it is not being recycled. It's just being thrown into the dumpster.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I
Councilman
got
Mears?
one. I'm confused again. I've been using that dump 60 years over there. I mean, the recycling, general public's gonna have in other words, you're gonna have to put your throwaways on the street now instead of taking it to a lay down yard, right? We're not gonna have an open place to recycle.
Well, your recycling should go into your bin at your property. So if you put your recycling there, yes, that still would be picked up. You still have your bulk items that could be picked up. None of that has changed. That is still in the contract. Your leaves, everything is still in the contract to be picked up.
You're talking about like mattresses and things like that?
Yes, those are still in the contract, that they will be picked up on the scheduled days for that. This is just simply the recycling center that we said was a recycling center. But again, a lot of people that were coming and the logs have shown us that they were coming over, and it was multiple times that you'd have the same person coming over within the week.
Oh, I understand.
So it became more of a dump than just a recycling,
Right.
a recycling center that the citizens have been paying for.
Well, I know it takes, if we don't, have a place or some kind of routine to get picked up, the city will get cluttered on the streets very quickly. And it's that way now, and we have to get on people, but people, the city needs someplace to do its throwaways in some kind of reputable manner. That's all I was concerned about.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Item 4, council discussion of a CCE contract lobbying services, background and history. The Clayton County cities, Clayton County and Clayton County School District have been engaged in opposing the loss of general sales tax on aviation fuels since 2016. We have been working since 2016 to try to reverse the FAA's policy. We have had multiple bills and amendments filed in Congress by our delegation. This past Congress, we were finally successful in getting bills introduced in both the House and Senate. The House bill, HR 3618, was sponsored by Representative Grace Napolitano of California, Democrat of California. What is it? Napolitano, there you go. And was co-sponsored by our entire House delegation, Representatives David Scott and Akima Williams. The Senate champion bill, Senate 2859, was sponsored by Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. The Clayton County entities lobby scope and is to advocate for legislation to restore the local general sales tax on aviation. The Hartwell 2019 contract was for $2,800 per month and was split based on lost tax distribution. The Clay 2020-21 contract was for $3,000 per month, and the 2022 contract was for $3,500 and is split based on the lost distribution. The 2023 contract is proposed to remain at the same $3,500 amount, and the allocation of the lobby fee would be split. The city of Forest Park would be responsible for 5.86% or $205.10 monthly of the contract based on the lost distribution. All Clayton County cities, the Clayton County Public Schools, and Clayton County participated in the 2019 contract except College Park and Forest Park. All cities, Clayton County Public Schools, and Clayton County participated in the 2020 through 2022 contract except the city of Morrow. The city manager is seeking direction of the governing body on how we would like to proceed in this matter. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dr. Cooper?
Yes, ma'am. And Madam Mayor, this is simply for the approval of the contract. I'd never found where this was actually approved through council, but I do think that we should continue. It's a small amount that we are paying to partner with our fellow cities and counties to get the sales tax back to the municipalities that was missing. So I think it would be a great thing if council would approve it.
Councilwoman James, questions or comments?
No, I agree.
Thank you. Councilman Antoine.
Yes, I echo that. We all know that we all want to be part of history, and I'll ask the council to join not only our county partners, but also our federal partners in this historic event. So I'm definitely for this.
Thank you. Councilman Gutierrez.
This is a no-brainer to quote here, my colleague.
Councilwoman Wells. No. Councilman Mears.
No.
Thank you. Item 5, council discussion on Zaxby's request for a waiver letter. Background and history. The Forest Park Development Authority sold the site on Main Street next to the fountain to a developer for a Zaxby's restaurant. Zaxby's has obtained permits to build the restaurant from Forest Park Planning Department and and has complied with all the Main Street District regulations. To begin developing the site, Zaxby submitted water management permits to the Clayton County Water Authority. The authority has put conditions on the site development, which Zaxby's reports they are unable to fulfill. The Clayton County Water Authority has given Zaxby's guidance that a waiver letter provided by the city of Forest Park to the authority would allow for the development to proceed. Zaxby's is requesting a waiver letter from the city. Zaxby's and the city engineer are present for discussion regarding the issuance of the waiver letter. All right, gentlemen, you have the floor.
I'd like to introduce the folks that are going to talk to you about the Zaxby's facility. We started working with the Zaxby's about 3 years ago. We looked up and down Jonesboro Road, Forest Parkway, Main Street. About a year later, we put them under contract with an 1.5 acre site owned by the Development Authority up in Main Street next to the fountain. They applied for the permits and received their permits, and they went to the Clayton County Water Authority for their water management permits. And and ran into some snags on that. So they were unable to get their to move forward. So I'd like to introduce you to Joey Clanton tonight, who's the owner of Zaxby's. And then behind him, Mark Price is with Falcon Engineering, is a city engineering firm, and they will explain the situation here. And they're asking for the council to approve a waiver letter with Clayton County Water Authority for them to move forward to build this facility.
Thank you, Your Honor, Commissioners. I'm Joey Clanton. So me and my partners have been working. We were introduced to Mr. Abraham about a little over 3 years ago, looking for sites, as he said. We found the sites. We combined 4 lots on Main Street. Had a plan, went through the ARC, went through several things, intermissions of what we were planning to put there. And went through the process, which we normally go through for getting permits before actually closing on the site. We had the city permits, closed on the site, submitted for Clayton County, and they came back and wanted our change. We had to submit again a different change into which took away roughly about 15 parking spots, which was a main concern for the ARC. And the cost inhibited from what we had planned, what the cost was going to be for the project. It just made it's not feasible. It's really not for what we had to meet for the Clayton County. And that's why we're asking for this waiver. I guess.
Good evening, Adam Price with Falcon Design Consultants, professional engineer. You're engineer. So if you would like to ask me any questions, I would feel free to give you my timeline. I was asked, our firm was asked to look at the drawings on behalf of you for general engineering issues. Per your IGA with Clayton County Water Authority, we do not review stormwater requirements. We review erosion control, general engineering matters on the plans. So after 1 or 2 submittals, we approved the plans from an engineering standpoint on behalf of the city. I was contacted by Mr. Abraham and James Shelby and asked to review the stormwater report produced by, I guess, Joey's engineer and, give an opinion on it. So we did review it, and there was actually 2 reports submitted to us. One apparently was the initial report they had submitted to the Water Authority. The second was the revision that the Water Authority had eventually approved, but the one when they came back and gave their financial analysis said that it was not feasible. So we analyzed both reports, and actually, in our professional opinion, the original report actually closely more followed your ordinance than the one that was finally approved. There was an item, not to get too technical, but detention requirements are the main focus usually of stormwater. Now it's gone off into water quality requirements and so forth. But the detention requirement was not even met in the final study that was approved, which greatly concerned us because that is a state law. You cannot increase post-development flow onto an adjoiner higher than what it was pre-developed, not developed at all. And that is being done in the current approved sequence. Now, the applicant's engineer submitted a request for a waiver. Your ordinance refers to a document produced by the North Georgia Metropolitan Water District, which is called, a practicability policy for stormwater. Now, what that means is, in my generic engineering terms, is reasons to waive a certain requirement in the stormwater manual. So there's one of really three requirements they're asking to waive. The other two they're meeting. So they asked to waive it and they said it's because of land area. They just don't have enough room to do this, which is a reason under site constraints in the practicability ordinance produced by the state that will allow you to waive it. Now, I am a city engineer for other people too. My firm is. So I review stormwater reports for other places. And this is a regular occurrence. This ordinance was just enacted about 2 years ago, and it is causing big problems because it gives a lot of leeway and gives a lot of mystery to what, okay, practicability. That's a wide range, especially with all kinds of different projects, from projects like Zaxby's, which are under 2 acres, small project size. You don't have a lot of room to do stuff. You just don't. So their reason for asking for the waiver, in our professional opinion, met the ordinance, which is why I advised Mr. Abraham and Mr. Shelby that, yes, if we were doing the stormwater review on your behalf, that I would agree with their letter and waive that one requirement. The rest of the requirements they've met. So that is basically what I was asked to do. And you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Councilwoman James.
Thank you so much for being here. I definitely want to make sure we can move forward and improve this. Thank you.
Councilman Antoine.
Likewise, man. We applaud you. Been here since 2014, and this is what I've been championing for. We're in the city, the largest city in Clayton County. There's no Walmart, no Kroger's, no Zaxby's, no anything basically. We actually go to Lake City, Morrow to do most of our businesses, and this red tape shouldn't be here. And to me, this is a no-brainer. You know, we're trying to welcome more businesses, not trying to push them away. So I'm definitely for it. Thank you so much, sir.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Why do y'all take away the grilled chicken sandwich? Just kidding. Thank you, sir. I would have.
That's a question for him.
I just haven't seen it. Like, okay. So I would have really appreciated a visual. So you're saying that they're meeting 2 of the 3 requirements, and the last one seems to be that they don't have the space to have this.
Let me describe it,
please.
And this is the simplest terms I have to do it. It's called, there's 3 things: detention, holding back stormwater from post-development to meet pre-development or less, which you don't want to flood your neighbor. Okay, they're meeting that. Water quality requirements, which is basically you're cleaning the water from asphalts and runoffs from your paved surfaces and your rooftops. They're meeting that. The third thing is the one that was enacted in the ordinance that I mentioned earlier 2 years ago. It's called runoff reduction. And basically what it is, it's designed to, they want more of your stormwater to infiltrate into the ground. Well, as an engineer for 20 years, that's a great thing to have if you're near the beach. So imagine you're on the beach and you got a cup of water, okay? And you pour that water on the sand, what happens to it? It goes down into the sand. You don't see the water on the surface anymore, right? You go out front here and you scrape off some of your Bermuda grass and you've got red dirt under there. It's called red clay, which is what most of Georgia is. And you pour that water on top of that red clay, you're going to have water sitting on top of it because it doesn't infiltrate, it sits. So runoff reduction wants you to infiltrate it. One of the measures to bypass runoff reduction and issue a waiver, which normally, like in some other cities that I do the review, I'm authorized to release the waiver. You guys aren't, because you guys have to do it because they're through the IGA, they're reviewing it for you and they run your stormwater program. So that's the reason it's come back to you. So runoff reduction is that, it's the infiltration of soils. Now, that's one reason to waive it. There's also a list of 10 others, one of which I gave you was site practicability, which on this site, such high density, it's wedged in there. Most of the site's the building. Okay. And then you've got some landscaping around the perimeter. You have building setbacks. that this, per the city code, that the building can only sit in one place. It's a tight site. Yeah, it's very, very practical, in my opinion, to waive this. Does that explain the runoff reduction thing, the
It does, yeah.
filtration?
And you're our engineer, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just think it's coming from you. It just, you're not on their page,
No.
you know, like, okay. I appreciate it. I just don't, you know, I want to make sure that we are setting standards or things to move forward, that in the future, you know, other people are not just going to come back and say, hey, can you waive this or waive that? But, you know, if they are meeting everything and you're saying the space is not there and you're our
No,
guy
it's-
saying
and
this.
It's
so-
in the ordinance that allows you to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, we know that
It's-
some of these rules sometimes can, you know, have variances. So, okay,
It
thank you.
does. And look, I'll tell you, Councilman, that my firm does a lot of private work other places, all over the Southeast, especially Georgia, the North Georgia. This code they enacted 2 years ago is a problem. It's a very problem because it puts the onus on city engineer, most places, city engineer, other places now, you guys, to kind of determine whether or not you can do this. And I don't know, it just need to clean it up.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Wells.
No, I just thank you for being here and giving the explanation, and thank you, Mr. Zaxby and Mr. Bruce Abraham, because we get so many questions about when is Zaxby's coming, when is Zaxby's coming, and like he stated, we want to invite businesses in. We don't want to make it difficult. So I am definitely in favor of approving this to waive it.
Councilman Mears.
Well, I've got two problems. The first problem is that if we pass this or move forward with this, we're setting up a precedence for other people that's wanting to come up and down Main Street. We shouldn't be held responsible for the runoff water if something does go wrong. Where the way I understand it, if we go with the county's situation, am I reading it right? Then it's their problem. Now, I'm glad to see y'all here and want you here, but what happens in 2 years, just hypothetically number, 2 years, y'all decide y'all can't make it here and y'all leave. Well, we're stuck with the runoff problem that didn't satisfy the county, but it helped y'all to stay here for the period of time. So then Forest Park's responsible for it. And I just don't want Forest Park in my tour of duty to be held responsible for a lot of problems on down the line after I'm gone, because it will inevitably come back to the city to take care of if we make concessions on the variances. You understand what I'm saying? So I want you here and everything, but I think you need to work out some other way or some way to get everybody happy on board that Forest Park won't be held liable for a situation that may or may not ever happen.
Well, there's a stormwater maintenance agreement the city makes all the owners sign of the property. That goes with every property you guys have. So they are responsible and they are liable.
So anything else, Councilman?
I'm through. Thank you.
So I've gone back and forth on this. Initially, when I was asked, I was not in favor of the waiver. Then in my mind, when I heard the word exemption, even though we had a couple of meetings, I was thinking that it would waive all the requirements. So then I had a conversation with Councilwoman James and I think Mike, and it was, well, no, it won't. It's not waiving all the requirements. It's that the Water Authority has Plan A, Zaxby's has Plan B, and is determining which, and the waiver would essentially, is exempting Plan A and going with Plan B. But then I thought kind of on the lines with Councilman Mears and what Councilman Gutierrez was alluding to about setting a precedent. I do believe that as elected officials, one of our responsibilities is to leave the city in a better condition in which we were given it. And doing any waiver in my opinion, would the long-term potential implications that it could have that the city and or residents may have to foot in the end. And that's not a risk that I'm willing to take. Now, granted, the council gets to vote and they have their say so, but then I also have mine. So then there's that. Then there is knowing that, so there was a plan that Zaxby submitted to the Water Authority that was approved. But Zaxby's went back and looked at their financials and determined that that cost was too much for them. And I don't know how far along the process they got, but I do understand that there are certain hardships that the Water Authority can grant if they meet other criteria set by the Water Authority. Given that I have very little expertise in this area, I would tend to rely on the Water Authority in which the city currently has an IGA with. So then it was, the question came up, if we waive it for Zaxby's, even though they have the requirements for an exemption, what makes that project better than, not better than, more apt to have a waiver versus other projects? So what I do know is that the city has had projects that has gone through the same process that adhered to the Water Authority's recommendation, going back and forth and coming up with some sort of a resolution that's amicable to both parties. And the Water Authority will come up once you're done, because I wanted them to truly explain the genesis of this IGA, what it means. It's not just about Zaxby's. This is about future generations and the impact that these stormwater systems can have in the long run. But what would make Zaxby's more inclined to have a waiver versus other projects? And I do believe that if we start making one exception, others will come, that'll be their prerogative because we set the precedent. But then how are we going to tell them, no, even if they met any of the criteria, when I know that the Water Authority works with entities to come up with a happy resolution? And so I don't know what the total cost is, but I know that Zaxby's is here. They bought the land, and this can be a continued effort, investment into the city. And if the council is really set on doing this, there is a way that we can truly make this a public-private partnership, where if they wanted to go to any one of the three boards or even come back to the council to ask if we could share the cost, do some cost sharing in this project versus waiving what the Water Authority is recommending. So that's where I stand on it all. And once the Water Authority comes up, they're going to do a presentation, and I think it will give us a holistic view on not just Zaxby's and this water issue, but what it means collectively for everybody.
I
Thank-
have,
Yes,
oh,
ma'am.
you don't. No, I just wanted to ask, how long have you been the city's engineer?
Say about 3 years.
3 years, okay. Have we had any issues with you being the city's engineer?
Don't think so. Not that I'm aware.
Okay, I trust you. I trust you, and that's all I had to say. And well, no. So in the beginning, when Zaxby's was first brought up, and everybody was so excited because we don't have nothing here. Like a lot of us have to go outside the city to sit down and eat. And I'm not a huge fan of Zaxby's, but a lot of people are. A lot of people that call my phone are. And it just really bothers me that we want to make it difficult for businesses to come in. I'm not saying that you're 100% right or the Water Authority is 100% right, but we hired them for a reason. We hired them for his expertise. Let's take that and run with it. You know, I just don't agree with it, because I remember when we first started talking about Zaxby's coming, I was getting calls from different developers that were so opposed to Zaxby's coming because they wanted that property, or Chick-fil-A was down the street and it was going to be a competition. And, you know, there's a shoe place right here and then there's a shoe place right here. You're going to have competition. So I feel like there's more behind the story than just this part of it. So, you know, I'm transparent and I'm going to keep it 100% with the people when it comes to transparency. And I just think there's more to it because there's no way it should take 3 years for Zaxby to come to the city of Forest Park. So I'm 100% with it. I'm 100% with it. And I listen to the water authority, but I trust who we hire to handle our engineering business as well.
How much was the cost or is the cost for this?
Oh, I'm not aware of that. You'd have to, maybe he knows.
Okay.
Biggest impact, in my opinion, is.
Step up to the mic for me, please.
The biggest impact that I feel like we're going to have is after going through the ARC board and what their concerns with traffic on Main Street and everything is the loss of what we combine the 4 lots and setting the project for that premier spot right there. That loss of that 15 spots. The traffic, what their concerns were backing up on Main Street. And if y'all have gone, I mean, fast casual restaurants lately, labor, we end up running through drive-through a lot. Shutting our dining rooms down, going through the drive-through. And that's what ARC was concerned with, is backing up on Main Street. And we had that parking spot, went through the original design, went through several iterations of the building design to get to where we could. Underground retention, every other county, I operate 7 Zaxby's. I'm a Clayton County, born and raised in Jonesboro, Georgia. Family here in Forest Park. When coming into Forest Park, we actually had to open the county up from Zaxby's in order to come into Forest Park for the opportunity, because we saw the same thing. Why is nobody going into Forest Park? What is opportunity? And 3 years later, I'm scratching my head going, this is why. This is why. I mean, I've got stores in Atlanta, all the way down to Griffin, through Peachtree City, got 2 in Peachtree City. And this has been my hardest development, trying to just get a simple project done. And Clayton County Water Authority is, I mean, what they put on the restrictions on us for what they demanded from us, trying to iterate to it, what we agreed to do for future use of the retention, the underground retention, to clean out the, Adam, what'd you say it was? What we have to agree to. For keeping up with the annual cleanouts. The stormwater management on an annual basis. So we have to do that. I have a store in Union City. We do that every year. Because we built in front of where the old Shannon Mall was. It had a master retention. Before we can run off into it, we have our own retention clean out that we have to clean out annually, which is what we agreed to do here, to make sure that we took care of our property. We have a 20-year license agreement with Zaxby's. We're going to be here 20 years minimum. My plan is to be here as long and roll it into my family. So continue to be a member of Forest Park, but we got to get in here first.
Thank you. Item 6. Council discussion on the Clayton County Water Authority stormwater management. Background and history. The Clayton County Water Authority is charged with ensuring that the city of Forest Park, as well as 6 other municipalities, remain in compliance with the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Systems Municipal Separate Sewer System Permit. This permit is regulated by the Georgia Environmental Protection Division, and as part of the Clayton County Water Authority's responsibility, they are to review plans submitted to the city for new developments and/or redevelopments to ensure they adequately address stormwater mitigation. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
City Manager. My name is Kevin Osby. I'm with the Clayton County Water Authority. I'm the Stormwater Program Director. Wasn't sure what to present tonight, so I went to one of my old and faithful stormwater utility overviews, but I reached out to the folks at Metro North Georgia to sort of help me prepare a timeline of how the ordinances all came into place. So if you bear with me for a second, I know we're sort of running over time, but do you have a time limit? Because I have about 19 slides. I can stop at slide 8, which really talks about the post-development ordinance, and everything else is just overall stormwater information.
That's fine, about 10 minutes.
Okay.
See what you can get through.
All right, 10 minutes. So what is stormwater? Stormwater is essentially runoff that comes from rainfall events coming off of impervious surfaces such as driveways, roadways, parking lots, rooftops. One of the major challenges that we have, and you probably heard it before, is water quantity issues, the amount of water, and water quality issues, how clean the water is or how polluted the water may be. So that's the main purpose of our discussions here tonight. We have a lot of issues, a lot of construction sites going on. I'm not saying that this is within the county here, but we do have a lot of flooding issues, a lot of siltation that comes off of construction sites. And with us being part of the Metro North Georgia Water Planning District, that is a 15 county-wide area, at least 95 cities within that area, going all the way up to Hall County and Coweta County to our southeast. And we're right there just underneath Fulton County. So we're part of that district. And these folks were created, well, just a brief history on the actual stormwater management manual that you heard Mr. Price talk about before. That manual was developed to help local jurisdictions and help local developers come up with means and methods to manage that stormwater that may run off of a site. That was developed back in 2001. 2015, after nearly 15 years of being in operation, ARC, the Atlanta Regional Commission, engaged stakeholders to help update that stormwater management manual. And in 2016, Georgia EPD, they mandated all the local governments adopt that manual. So once again, in 1993, Georgia EPD issued some of the first municipal separate storm sewer system permits. That includes Clayton County. That is a requirement that came from EPD that really have us managing, dictating how we are going to manage our storm water. And those permits are updated every 5 years. 2001, the Georgia legislature formulates the Metro North Georgia Water Planning District, and I'm just going to call them the district from here on out. 2001, ARC introduces the first stormwater management manual. And because so many communities were managing their stormwater in different ways, the Metro or the district prepared model ordinances for us folks here in the metro area. What they wanted us to do is to be consistent in how we manage and how developers manage their stormwater throughout this 15 county district. So that was issued, the post-development stormwater management ordinance was developed in about 2002. As I mentioned before, that was updated in 2016, and it was required to be adopted by all local governments. As was stated before, it's a water quality issue and a water quantity issue. The water quality issue is handled by what's called the water quality volume in the original plan, where that allowed you to really manage that water quality issue by holding that, releasing that water very slowly over a certain amount of time so that any particulates can settle out in whatever best management practice that you have implemented. In 2019, that was changed. They introduced the runoff reduction where Mr. Price stated before, you are required to hold that first inch of rainfall that hits your site. You've got to infiltrate that. So that was what was used in adopting, or that was adopted by all the county and the 6 cities in 2019 and was supposed to be enforced in 2020, December of 2020. So since then, our team has been working with developers in reviewing their site development plans to come up with means and ways to infiltrate that first inch of water. One of the challenges that we have is in order to, and you heard the practicability guideline. There are roughly 6 or 7 items on that guideline, ranging from what type of site you may have. If it's an old brownfield site that may have had hazardous materials on it before, obviously you don't want those type of sites to infiltrate water. If you're putting in a hotspot location like a gas station, car repair shop, you don't want any of those materials infiltrating into the ground. There are other requirements. If you go out and say, for instance, you think you may have, red clay on the site, and yes, red clay is not very permeable, but what you have to do is you have to go out and you have to test it and see if it's a permeable. And usually that's done by percolation test. I don't want to get too technical, but you go out and test the soil and see if it can percolate water. Another factor is the cost of it. So there are several other factor also is if there's groundwater. If you're near a creek or a stream and there's groundwater within your potential BMP area, you can't really infiltrate that because there's already water there. If you're on a site that's really steep, so there are several items that we allow exemptions for, and we work with developers to go through those, and if they submit that practicability study to us, we'll review that, and we'll try to work with folks and make sure we're able to work through those problems. And if we see that exemptions or waivers are allowed for that, then we will work with those folks and grant them that waiver. And that's what we try to do, is try to work with folks. Just a couple more slides here, and just give you an overall history of how CCWA began doing the stormwater utility for the county and the cities. But history, 2003, we talked about all the model ordinances coming into place, and Georgia EPD making requirements and having requirements in place for all the local governments around here. The county commission requests that CCWA evaluated a best way to manage stormwater funding. 2004 of March, 6 cities, that's you all, Jonesboro, Lake City, Lovejoy, Morrow, Riverdale, joined that study. In August of 2004, that study was completed, and it was recommended that a dedicated funding source be established by developing a stormwater utility, and it recommended that CCWA manage that utility. 2005, we had the intergovernmental agreements between CCWA and the county and the cities. All of that's referenced in our stormwater utility guidebook. Our guidebook was developed in 2006. It was adopted, and we updated it in 2020. And in there, we have our operating policies of how the utility would be ran. 2006 also, stormwater actual ordinances were created. That's the legal tool for public compliance and enforcement. I talked about the model ordinances from the district a little earlier, and essentially there were 7 of them. You had the post-development construction stormwater ordinance, you had the floodplain management ordinance, erosion and sedimentation control, stream buffer protection, conservation subdivision, illicit discharge and illegal connection, and litter control. So those were all tools that were put in place that would help address water quality issues and water quantity issues within our area here. And there were a uniform set of documents that all of the folks in the 15 counties and those 95 cities had to adopt. So we're all on the same playing field, so that somebody up in Cobb County, can't say that, hey, I'm going down to Clayton County because they're not enforcing this down in Clayton County. We're all essentially the same. We operate a little different, but we're all essentially the same. We have the same set of guidelines that we have to follow here, and that's what we try to do. I think that's this is the last one. So we started our We began billing and doing the administrative services in May of 2007, and we began full service in July of 2007, and we provide those stormwater services to those entities within Clayton County. I'm going to make this my last slide because I see I'm winding down on time here.
All right, thank you, thank you. Councilwoman James, is there any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do for our county and our community. Question I have is do you have an idea as to how many waivers have been asked of you all to, or that you all have received since the implementation of this process?
Off the top of my head, I can't say that we've issued any full waivers. As I mentioned before, we work with developers to try to implement some portions of the new requirements of the runoff reduction.
Well, Councilwoman, are you referring to the city projects that waivers were issued for?
No, I was just
Just in general.
speaking in general. Yeah, just speaking in general.
And what we try not to do is we don't issue waivers because all of the ordinances belong to the county and or cities.
Okay, so
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
the cities that issue the waivers.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with the Zaxby's project. Have you looked at their mitigation process, or whatever you want to call it, for their stormwater?
So I will say that our team did look, as Mr. Price stated before, our team did look at their submittal plans. I'm not sure the iterations of what they went through. I do know that a plan was approved by CCWA September 2021. Since then, our staff have not received any other revised plans from them. And I just checked with those folks today.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Antoine?
No comments.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the history of water in Clayton County. I'm glad they have intellectual folks like you handling this because I couldn't do it. But as far as like, did you hear the presentation from our engineer and what he mentioned that the last, I guess, waiver or the last condition that they're not meeting was?
Was it the cost or was it the?
I think it was the space or the type of pond, I think. Is that what it was, Mr. Falcon Man? Where did he go? Mike, do you remember what it was?
I do recall them saying that, I guess because it's a tight site, they had some restrictions and they were losing 15 parking spaces to include a bioretention facility. In looking at the hydro study that was approved by us, and we mentioned that pre-flow versus pro-flow, pre-construction flow off the site versus post-construction flow off the site. And I took a look at the hydro study that was approved by our staff, and from the 1-year storm up to the 100-year storm, it appears that the post-developed flow was less than the pre-developed flow based on the report I have here. Now, I don't know if there's another report out there that I'm not knowledgeable of, but the report that our staff approved shows that bioretention as well as the permeable pavers that they were implementing on the site, our staff felt that was a good route, thus they approved it.
Thank you.
I don't even so that's good or bad?
That's good.
Okay.
If we approved it, that's good.
So, but I guess they never gave like a new one for you to look at as and what like their.
We haven't seen, according to my staff, we haven't received any updated plan or any revised plan since the plan that we approved September of 2021.
Are you familiar with the type of retention pond? Is that what it's called, Mike? That they're trying to do?
It's a yes. So basically it's really I almost want them to describe it, but they have multiple ways of infiltrating. Like I said, they have a permeable paver, which are the concrete pavers that are put into a parking lot. So when water hits it, that flows through whatever surface that is, be it concrete or be it asphalt. I believe it's concrete. But they also have a bioretention pond that also serves as a means of infiltration and can probably allow for storage of stormwater and release it slower off-site.
So it in essence, it does the same thing. It's just maybe like a less fancy one.
Which one? They have both of them. They have the pavers and they have the retention pond. Now, they were talking about, I heard Mr. Price or one of the other gentlemen mention underground detention. Now, that underground detention really is for the flood control or the actual quantity of water and not as much quality of water. They do have some underground proprietary units that you can install upstream of that will take care of the water quality issues. But as I mentioned before, we haven't seen, or at least I haven't seen, any other plans other than what I have present with me now.
Okay, thank you.
And was approved in 2021.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes, so thank you. Thank you, first of all.
Yes, ma'am.
But have we ever had any flooding or anything up in that area where Zaxby's is? I guess Mr. Jinks will probably know that. Have we ever had the flooding issue to be concerned about up there? Because it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. Because I know down here on Forest Parkway, every time it rains, we have to use our officers and public works to go down here and block off the street. So it's like, we need to handle that. This haven't even been the issue, or we making it a bigger issue than it should be. So if it's in there as something that could be waived, I'm sure if it was something that big or that big of a problem, it wouldn't be able to be waived. If they've already handled two things, this is just one, why not waive it? I mean, why not waive it? Like he said, they plan to be here 20 years and the pot can't call the kettle black. We need to fix the retention pond down here on Forest Parkway. That's what we need to do. I think that's something we need to be focusing on. But again, if it wasn't something that was okay to be waived, they wouldn't have put it in there. So.
Councilman Mears?
Well, if it's all good, I can't see the problem why CC will not go along with the engineer's plans if it's not suitable and it's going to inevitably cause problems on down the line that he has to upgrade his system to satisfy the water authority, then it's not all right.
But then
I mean, we got flooding everywhere, but I'm talking about this particular issue right here. We need to figure out why the two sides can't come together with a solution. The Zaxby's man says he's got to spend $300,000 or more to satisfy the water authority, because the water authority says the water runoff and filtration system is not up to the point where we have to be responsible. The city has to be responsible. Do I understand that right? Does that sound about right?
I will say that because this is a private development, the private property owner is ultimately responsible for the maintenance and well-being of whatever.
To satisfy you.
Either way.
CCC, right.
Yeah, either way. It wouldn't be CCWA's responsibility to maintain, fix
his property.
Your property. It would all be on them, and that's from the stormwater maintenance agreement.
So you're under the assumption that if he puts it in the way y'all would like it done, that there wouldn't be a problem for him to have to maintain, that it would be Clayton County Water's responsibility, right?
No, sir. We would never maintain or take ownership of a private property. What I call BMP.
No, not the property, but the flooding or runoff water on that, to make it up to y'all standards, to what you would want.
I will say it's not our standard or our designs. We work with them to prepare a design that we feel meets the intent of the Stormwater Management Manual and the Forest Park Stormwater Ordinance.
Well, you have you say the drawings and everything that you've got that you okayed back when was what you would like to see be put in. And he's saying that it's gonna cost, Zaxby's saying it's gonna cost him $300,000 to put it in the way that way should be put in. So.
Well, you haven't seen the Stormwater Management Manual, but it's a document probably this thick.
Sure.
And it has a lot of recommendations that somebody can go through and pick a particular BMP.
Right.
Their options.
Right.
We have not closed our doors to anyone. Our doors are always open. Now, in our minds, we had an approved plan and we had an agreement that we thought that's where we were going to go.
Right.
We have not
changed
we have not heard or entertained any requests to change that.
Well, there again, back earlier when I was speaking, I do not, like the mayor said, I do want to leave a legacy behind that and open up the floodgates to everybody that comes along. Evidently, we will have the same problem on these small plots of land as we try to sell them off for businesses to come into Forest Park, to have the same kind of problems. And it's not right to citizens of the Forest Park to be held responsible or give permission to go ahead and do things when we know that we have objections from or not satisfied from the water authorities way y'all would like to put it in, or like it should be put in according to the engineering. So that's the only thing that I worry about is later on down the road. I
So,
appreciate your
Madam,
presentation.
and thank you, Councilman. Given that a plan was already approved, it seems the issue is the cost associated with that. So again, if it's the cost, then we can make this a public-private partnership and share the cost without getting into waiving any part of the standard or the whatever was already pre-approved or was already approved. And so with that, I mean, they gave a number. Would the council want to entertain sharing the cost in that? Or is it
Madam
doing
Mayor?
this? Wait, hold on one second, ma'am. I'll come back to you. Or they could take it to the development authority that granted them, that sold them the land, to see if they want to share the cost in that, or the other two boards and see where that goes. I think if we're trying to find a workaround, that seems the most plausible to me without having to go outside the scope of what the water authority had already approved. But there is a hardship process that they can go through if there is an economic hardship for what you guys recommend, correct?
There is a line item in there for economic hardship. There's one for.
Can you explain that process?
So it's part of the overall practicability study. So when they go through those 7 line items, obviously with this new technology, newer technologies are going to cost more at this particular time. But what we can't do in our eyes is allow everybody to not go through that one process and just pick that and say, this is going to cost much more, or else everybody will check that single line and say, oh, this is going to cost more. So you go through multiple line items. And if there are several of those other exemptions that's part of that, then we can look at that. But as I mentioned before, we have not heard anything since 2021. Nothing's been submitted to our office since 2021.
Okay, Councilwoman James?
So yes, Madam Mayor, a couple of things I want to just make sure that I make clear is that it's not, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, CCWA, the recommendation that they have is not set in stone. It's not like you have to do it this way or no way. This is just the way that they recommend based upon the standards that they have from each municipality. It's not the only way of doing things. So offering a waiver does not free the city or free the Clayton County Water Authority from any responsibility. The responsibility is solely on the engineer of the project, the privately owned company that's preparing this. So when you think of the waiver process, it's not necessarily the what the Clayton County Water Authority wants to happen is the fact that they're going to lose space. From what I understand, they have done everything they can to comply with what we want on Main Street. They're not going to have their drive-through coming through Main Street. It's going to go on Finley Road. They're going to have eateries on the outside of Main Streets where we'll be able to live and walk and play like we said. So they have complied with everything that we want to happen in the city of Forest Park, and they don't want to give up space because of the recommendation of what the Clayton County Water Authority wants. They have a workaround that is feasible according to our engineers and their engineers. And I think it's just, we need to go ahead and do this. And I believe, and I could be wrong with this, the reason you haven't gotten anything else to look at is because the council is just now knowing about the process of actually having a waiver to go back to the Clayton County Water Authority. So once we approve this waiver, you will get what the new plans are.
Can you explain that? Because they did not need to go to council to submit another set of plans, or did they?
Not another set of plans, but I will say that if there's going to be any variance of these stormwater management plans, it would be nice to run that across CCWA, because I don't know what their plans consist of. If there's going to be a waiver and they have a alternative and city council would like us to explore that alternative with them, we can review that. But we can't, and I wouldn't be comfortable in approving any waiver when we haven't seen what they plan on doing otherwise.
So can I ask, I can't, yes. Is there a different set of plans versus the 2021 plans that was approved?
So we submitted the first set of plans, which had the underground retention, the 15 extra parking spaces. All that was submitted. When we went to Clayton County, their recommendation was that wasn't going to work. And here's where we had to go down the route of recommending the bio retention pond. So in order to, we met water quality, we met retention. It's the third part that we haven't met when we go to underground retention.
So the plans from 2021 that was approved.
The original set had the underground retention with the parking spots.
Yes. So the plans that was approved in 2021, is there a different set of plans that you're referring to currently?
Then we had to resubmit for Clayton County with the bio retention on it, where we lost the parking spots. And that's what has been approved, the final permits. Then when we took that to cost projections, that's when the costs went through the roof. It's got,
I guess
as
it
he
is the
said, so
same
we've got
plans then.
permeable concrete,
See, that's why I just need a yes or
There are
no.
only two plans.
2 plans, that's it.
It's their original
First.
plan and then the plan Clayton County approved with the changes that are more expensive.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. All right. We do have executive session tonight, correct? Okay. Did you want to, is there anything? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the work session?
So move.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor? Opposed? I think you guys need a break. Can we jump right into it? All right, we're gonna jump into it. It is 7:32. The regular session for February 6th is called to order.
Oh, there's time to go.
Hit the what? Time to go.
Let that be like.
Where are you going? We're getting started. Oh, okay. So I will begin. Wait, you got. Can you exit quietly, please? We're getting ready to start the regular session. Okay, the mission statement is as follows. It is the mission of the City of Forest Park to enhance, strengthen, and grow our city by collaborating with our community to provide the highest level of service, striving to be recognized as a diverse community that values and respects all members. We will strive to provide fair, professional, and courteous service through transparency and open communication. As we work to achieve this mission, we will have integrity beyond reproach while employing fiscal discipline and innovation. In this work, there are no praises and raises for mediocrity. We have our invocation tonight. I thought I saw Dr. Payton. If you could come to the podium. All those who are able to stand, can you please do so and remain standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, God, we come tonight to do business on behalf of this city. And God, we invoke your presence here tonight as we come. And God, we thank you for what you've already done and how you've blessed this city, how you've kept this city, how you protected this city. And so now, God, as we come tonight, we pray for a spirit of unity. And God, we pray that you would help us to accomplish tonight what needs to be accomplished, all for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Ms. White, roll call, please.
Roll call for February 6th, council regular meeting. Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Good evening, everybody.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Present.
Councilmember Aiken Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Public comments. Everyone has 3 minutes per our charter, and we have 2. Mr. Pellegrini. I think I said that correctly.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, governing body members.
Evening.
Clifford Pellegrini, Finley Drive, Forest Park. I have a request of our city manager, Madam Chairwoman, if we could have an update from our city manager about the American Rescue Fund's rental assistance program. I would love to see numbers about numbers served, numbers applied for, amount awarded, and amount remaining. Also would like to see if we could indulge upon the city manager to include in the packet, the agenda packet that we see online, his report as well. Those of us who watching at home miss a lot of what is being said because he's reading off the screen. So if at all possible, we would love to have him post his information on that agenda packet as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Falami, you have the floor, ma'am.
Greeting, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. This is one of them days for what you all. I just want to come before you to actually congratulate Parks and Recs for being honored at the BOE tonight, along with their colleagues. I sit here and I listen to some things, and I think what's going on is someone is not at the table during the process. Since 2021, we've been looking for ZASB to enter into our great city, and it's hiccup time. And I think the hiccup time for them to be able to move forward is that those who should be at the table are not at the table. And if I had to do an example, I would say our attorney, our city manager, our economic, Mr. Abraham. All of you guys should be at the table. This is an investor. He come here for quality service to start out. I know his family. They've been here in Forest Park for a long time. I understand about the waiver and all of that for the next person that come in. But here you have a resident who's a part of the city, a great investor throughout the region and the Crescent, looking just to come home to leave something for his generation. I'm gonna stop right there. So on behalf of the women's and men in blue, I must give you all y'all kudos. You all are looking mighty good in the city. We had some incident happen last Friday on Main Street. And when I say you guys come out and you serve to protect, that's what you're doing. Good job with the absence of a chief. Y'all doing well. And two, my basketball team. Y'all know I love my babies. We are going to the championship. So I invite you all who are not too busy to come over on Saturday, bring your family out and just enjoy what the scholars are doing. I'd be very remiss if I did not say I had at least 100 people from their city and county to come read last week at Seven Pillars Career Academy. Kudos. The only someone was missing was my personal friend. I'm not gonna call her name, but she told me what happened. But again, let us collectively move this forward. We've been dealing with Zaxby for 21 years. Since 2021. And people have been asking for it. I get what you're saying. You don't want the liability on us. We don't want to put the liability on you guys. But as a concerned citizen who know that if these parties who should be at this table get to that table and drive for a solution, this gentleman who's willing to invest in our city in such a small portion, he can come move in and he can bring other. So Mr. William, attorney, get on your job and make this happen.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Now it's Councilman Mears. Is there a second?
Second.
Now it's Councilman Antoine. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Approval of the minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from January 17th? And if so, are there any changes to be recommended?
No, Madam Mayor.
All right, if there are none, is there a motion to approve, group the minutes together and approve as is?
I do have one change. It just in my public comments, it says Mr. Avery, it's Mr. Abrams. It's the gentleman in the back.
Okay,
It's a small thing.
so is there a motion to approve the agenda with the recommended changes? I'm not the agenda, I'm sorry, the minutes.
So moved.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells? And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Thank you. Council approval of the Health Accident Fund. Is there a motion to approve this item with the 66%? Is that how I want to word it? With the 60% threshold?
I believe you are referring to 66% of the employee salary.
Yes.
Week.
Mayor,
6 weeks.
Yes.
does it have to be an amount? Or is the amount for the minimum wage was 448?
Well, if you use the 66 point something percent of the weekly salary, then you won't have to actually put an amount. It would just be that weekly salary for 6 months, for 6
Okay.
weeks, 6 weeks, not 6 months.
A motion would be in order if that's the proposal to approve the health accident fund by increasing the amount available per employee to basically 2/3 of their weekly salary as a benefit.
For 6 weeks.
Okay, that is the motion.
So moved.
All right, that was Councilman Mears. Is there a second? That was Councilwoman Wells. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells? And Councilman Mears. Item 3, approve conditional use permit at 721 Morrow Road. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So,
This was recommended to be taken.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to table this item
So
until
moved.
March? That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells? And Councilman Mears.
Yes.
Item 4, council approval of the waste management contract. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So move.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine,
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells,
Yes.
and Councilman Mears.
Yes.
Thank you. Council approval of a CCE contract lobbying service. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this agenda item number 4.
Thank you. That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine,
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells.
Point of order is number 5.
Yes.
He stated in his motion number 4. So, okay, so it is 4. Okay, yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Okay. He stated 4. That's.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Mears, Councilman Mears, did you? Okay, thank you. Item 6, council approval on Zaxby's request for a waiver letter. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Make a motion that we approve this agenda item.
That was Councilman Antoine.
Second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells, and Councilman Mears.
Yes.
All right, closing comments by the governing body. Councilwoman James, you have the floor.
I just want to say thank you, everybody. I apologize for not being able to be there today. I'm under the weather and don't want to get anybody else sick. I will have my March the 12th, I believe is the date for the Hunger Walk Run with the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We have a team. It is the Forest Park High School team. If you all would like to sponsor a person or a student to run or walk in your behalf so that they can get a t-shirt, please reach out to me. I'm looking to get sponsors for this wonderful event. It gives us an opportunity to have a major food drive for our community. We just had one recently about 2 weeks ago on Friday. We were able to feed over 150 families in our community with a bunch of great food. And so I want you all to help me in that endeavor once again. Thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes, big shout out to the new recruits that came in. Welcome to the All-Star team. I want to give a shout out to Mayor Butler and Jonathan Rashmere. You guys both share the same month birthday. Yours is when? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, my ward meeting will be coming up really soon. Got all the emails, but we're making plans so we can have a great meeting. Again, thank you all for coming, and don't forget that Booz Antoine loves you guys. All right, God bless.
Thank you, Councilman Gutierrez.
My people, thank you for just withstanding this meeting today. It was a little long, but very informative and educated. Shout out to the new people. Really excited to see all those young, officers that are about to be roaming the street. Also, the social media guy, he looks like a social media guy, very fresh outfit. So hopefully he can bring some innovative, social media tactics to our city and work with Mr. Lloyd in getting all the information out there. The public comments, Mr. Pellegrini, thank you for that. That's what we need, comments like that to make us better and make sure we're letting out the information. To the gentleman, the Zaxby's investor, I just want to apologize on behalf of my city. I don't want, this to be the narrative of how we do business. And there's hiccups sometimes, but I'm glad you ran into somebody at that meeting and it was able to be brought up to our attention. So happy birthday, Mr. Rashmere, one of the pillars in our community, a person that always supports everything. So happy birthday to you, young man. Happy birthday to my mayor. I think it's, 24? 24 today. So tomorrow. So happy birthday and happy birthday to my wife, my better half, and the person who woke me up from my nap to come today here. Shout out to the PD for going out to bingo night. We really appreciate y'all, PD. The seniors love to see y'all and they love to talk to you guys. So anytime y'all can make it down there to talk to our seniors, come out, make sure you support the fundraiser. That is the there's fundraising money for their senior ball and all the events they have. So our senior committee and our senior center down there is just they're just doing great things. And yeah, we're gonna kick off our food truck Friday, the first weekend of next month. So I'm excited for that. Be on the lookout for some programming for Black History Month. I think it's, important. Sometimes we might take that for granted because we live in a community that's very diverse, and, we're among great leaders of the African-American community, but make sure that, we're educating our young ones of the past, struggles and things we've accomplished. So as a Latino, I'm very proud to live in a community like this. I think the African-American community started the civil rights movement. So I think without that, then we really wouldn't have much. So just leave it with that train of thought. Basketball season is kicking off. Baseball season is kicking off. Try to support our Forest Park Panthers if you can make it up to the high school. And yeah, that's it. And if y'all need anything, I'm always here.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes, so I would like to thank you so much, Mr. Zaxby. I have to get your name, but thank you so much for coming out. And I'm all in favor of you all coming to the community. We have so many residents questioning when is Zaxby's coming, when is Zaxby's coming. So I'm waiting on that day as well. And thank you for be willing to invest in your community, because I'm too lifelong resident of Forest Park, and this is my community. So to come back and be able to serve in your community is different. So thank you so much. I want to say welcome to the new employees, officers of Forest Park. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Deputy Chief, for all that you're doing in the absence of a chief. So thank you all so much for everything that you do. Two, I got a few calls about why I wasn't at the budget retreat, and so I wasn't at the budget retreat for numerous of reasons. One being that I feel like that's something that we can do here without spending so much of the taxpayers' dollars. And I also had things to do. I have a job, so I work, and I don't feel like we should have to drive an hour and a half away to discuss city business when the residents should be able to walk through these doors and hear exactly what the city has going on. I don't have to sleep in a $300-400 room. I can go home and sleep in my bed where I pay to stay, so that's why I wasn't there. My son is an athlete, and I wanted to be there with him. And again, I just think we should bring those type of meetings here so that the residents can be involved. And it's not like we're not being open to them. And that's that. Mr. Cliff Pellegrini, thank you so much for bringing that up, because I'm not sure if everyone has been hearing what's going on with this corruption stuff that's going on in the county. Well, I can't say alleged corruption. I don't know what's going on, but you just have to dig a little deeper and look a little more deeper into things, because people can pretend very well. And it's crazy because you got up and commented that, because that was one of the things that I wanted to look into, because I've heard it being discussed with the county as well. They received $9 million and who was helped. So I want to know that, and I want to say it on record. I want a copy of every person in Forest Park that was assisted when it came to this rental assistance money that was government's money. And I want to know where it went, and the residents want to know too. And that's why I was going to bring it up. So Dr. Cooper, I would like a list of that. If we have a list of the residents, everyone, phone number, addresses, whatever information we have, to everyone that was assisted with that. And then happy birthday, Jonathan. Happy birthday. I hope you had a great day. I'm sorry. I didn't call you, but happy birthday. And Fun Fridays will be back in Forest Park. We have people that are willing to invest. That was taken away from the residents as well. Another reason why I wasn't going to go sleep in a $300-400 room, because if we can take things from the residents, but then go and have nice meetings at lavish establishments and sleep in $300-400 rooms, then we can bring some of these events back to the community. And the community recognizes that, and we have people that want to bring Fun Friday back. So Fun Friday with Councilwoman Wells will be back in June. Forest Park Day will be the third Saturday in August. So I just want to put that out there. Wellness with Wells is still going on. I haven't been there because my son is a senior this year, and I'm not missing the game for nothing. And I don't do Wellness with Wells, or what they want to call it, Fitness in Forest Park now. So Fitness in Forest Park, I don't do that for me. I do it for the community. Although I need it, but it's for the people. So that's why I haven't been there. And I also want to give everyone a heads up about the Board of Commissioners meeting tomorrow at 5:30. I will be there. If you all want to really know what's going on in your county and be made aware, please support our meetings, your commissioner meetings, because we are the ones that put these people in position and they need to be held accountable, same as it goes for us. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my son, my senior, who has received multiple scholarships to different colleges. Just to name a few, the University of Kentucky, he's been accepted, Alabama State, full scholarship for Southern Illinois, Virginia State, Alabama State. He's just an all-around great kid. He's been named player of the game for, I think, the last 3 months. And he's doing a great job. Never gave me any trouble. Always a humble kid, and he's going places. So I'm gonna say his name every chance I get. Mr. Jaquez Akins at Jonesboro. And Councilwoman James, you know, you didn't say anything about it, but Jonesboro beat Forest Park. They beat Forest Park last Tuesday.
Yes,
And,
the boys did, but the girls won.
they beat Forest Park, and it was a friendly competition. It was an amazing game. And Jonesboro is now 19-3, number 1 in the region. So I just had to put that out there. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. I hope you all have a great night.
Councilman Mears.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. Mr. Zaxby, I want you to know that we're glad that you're picking our city, and we're not trying to pick on you. I'm not trying to pick on you. I just want to make sure that you and Mr. Water over there can get together and get it right so that it all works out. I love Zaxby myself. I'll even eat one of Big Boy sandwiches if you'll bring us one. You know what I'm saying? But and the police ladies, I appreciate y'all being here. And you just, things have to be done. You have to look ahead and you plan ahead, and people are going to take our place over and over and over. And if we keep everything in order and get it worked out, then the city will progress and move forward. And that's all I'm after. And I appreciate you coming. And birthday people, I quit having them. You know, after you get over 75, you quit counting. So the mayor, you got a long way to go. And Rich Mayor, you hopping, you going. So I appreciate everybody being here, and thank you very much.
All right, I do want to thank everyone from coming out. Just to add to the Zaxby's talk, it's not that I was opposed to your presence, but I do believe that there is a workaround to what was already approved that I think is being neglected here. So that was my stance. And given that it was unanimous, my veto would be pointless. And if anything, it would just send a message to let you know that I do recognize a workaround. And that would just be my stance, that if there's a way to work around the approval, then I think that needs to be considered versus just ignoring that. So with that, is there a motion to recess and go into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters? That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second? That was Councilman Mears. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Mike, prepare.
Go ahead and take out that Forest Park Jonesboro results of the game
Prepare.
out of the minutes. Don't record that, please.
Councilwoman Wells, can you hear me? Councilwoman Wells, can you hear me?
Just.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, you.
I second that motion.
Your motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Second.
I'll second. Who was that whispering?
Aye.
Aye,
So moved.
I'll second.
Aye. Wait, I think we got another water presentation.
Aye.